Welcome to the next episode of Wealth Strategies to Value. I am your host, Troy Shorts. And today I have an awesome special guest that I cannot wait for you guys to meet. I feel that I am a very special person. I'm very blessed to be able to share my clients with the world. People that are doing absolutely amazing things. And, I'm here to serve. I'm serving my clientele. And now I'm in a position where I can actually bring them to you to really just understand how we can overcome insurmountable odds together. All right. Today's guest, Andres Viloria. Andres is a husband. 26 years he's been married to his girlfriend. Andreas is a father. He has two amazing sons. Andreas is one of the top real estate brokers in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Andreas is an author. Okay, we're going to get into his book real soon. Andreas is a 5th degree black belt in karate. Andreas is a Christian man. He's actually a deacon in his church. And Andreas is coming to you today, and he's going to share an amazing perspective on overcoming insurmountable odds. Okay, he's going to tell his story. And this is not meant to motivate you. This is meant to inspire you because we believe inspiration comes from within, right? When you hear this man's amazing story, it will ultimately change your life. You will not be the same after this podcast. You guys ready? You sure? You ready? I want to introduce you to my man, Andres Viloria.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Troy, for the opportunity to be here among greatness. I mean, I am so honored to be a part of your show today. Having the opportunity to connect with you and to be able to gleam off of all the things that you've been able to share with me on the financial realm and really open my eyes to some great things that can help not only me now, but in the future and for my family. And I certainly am humbled by the opportunity to have been connected to you. So thank you again for this opportunity to be here today, and welcome to all the people that are listening today. So grateful to be able to share with you what has transpired in my life through trials and tribulations, through many difficult things that have happened to me. God has been able to turn my life around, and I'm here today just to share the story, and really that's what it's all about. All the things that Troy had mentioned about what I do, honestly, could not be possible without God in my life, and I could not emphasize that enough. If it wasn't for God, where would I be?
Oh, oh,
So,
oh, oh. Whoa.
so
They don't know the story yet. All right. So we'll get to the story.
yeah,
Let me just say, people think you are where you are when they meet you, but they don't understand who you've been prior to meeting you. So I want you to start from the beginning, Andreas. I want you to really just give us some ideas of really what happened to you, like your youth growing up and the trial. Let's talk about the trial, right? And then we're going to talk about the triumph. All right. So if you started from the beginning, how would you describe your journey?
yeah, absolutely. And thank you again so much for the opportunity. Obviously, we can't sum it up in one session, but
Cliff notes.
yeah, exactly. I was born to Dominican immigrants from Dominican Republic, born in Brooklyn, Park Slope for back in the '70s, and had a great childhood. Was surrounded by plenty of family, cousins, and lots of friends. Growing up in Brooklyn, obviously, it was, we learned the streets early. I was out there doing well. Never had any real problems. We had parties, and family just really know how they know how to party. So we've had a great childhood up until things started going south. I did great in junior high school until I started getting together with some not so good company, which led me to really uh, getting into drugs and ultimately becoming addicted to a point where I really began to uh, get caught up in a cycle that was vicious and really put me into a place that I didn't know how to get out of.
Wow.
I had some tragedies that happened along the way that basically justified where I was. So
Mm.
I always ended up really just going back. I never really learned how to deal with life on life terms. So every time that things got tough or uncomfortable, I used to just go and self medicate. At first
Mm.
it was all fun and games. I started getting high just to, because it was fun. It was hanging out with the
Yeah.
boys and just partying and going out. But after a while, it just became something that I needed to survive.
Mm.
And ultimately, I got to a point where it consumed my life, and I didn't realize how bad things can become once you become a slave to those things that you serve. I found myself addicted to a point where I got in trouble with the law. So I
Mm.
got I got incarcerated. I
Mm.
ended up really, shaming my parents, robbing them, and just doing things that I never thought I would be able to do.
Wow.
And I would hide from people because I didn't want them to see me where I was.
Mm.
This wasn't the kid that grew up a smart kid that grew up with a great family. It was somebody who was strung out, and the pretty much the family just wrote me off, and they said, this kid is just going to end up dead or in jail. And
Wow.
my life just really took a turn for the worse until one day I just realized. Um, one day I was coming back from a binge, a 3 day binge, and I was running home just to try to sleep it off or try to get home before the sun came up, so people wouldn't see me how I looked and how bad I was, and I really felt it just extremely um, just I felt bad. I just felt completely horrible in the state I was in, to a point where I ran home, and thank God my parents weren't home, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, what happened to you? And I just looked
Mm.
like a Holocaust survivor
Wow.
when I saw myself, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just in a vicious cycle. I didn't know how to get out.
Mm.
And finally, I'd try to go to bed just to try to sleep it off before my parents came home. And I just said, "Oh God!" And once I said, "Oh God," God just touched my life, and from that point, I knew He was real. And the story goes that at that point, I knew that God was that heard me, and that He loved me, and that He had the solution for my life, and that was what changed my life. Now, I go into more details in the Warrior's Way, which is the book that I had written that's being released March 18th. But it
Mm.
goes into detail as to what happened in that experience. But nevertheless, um, I realized that I had to make a decision to walk with God, because
Mm.
even though I had an experience, I wanted to go back to doing the things I wanted to do. It wasn't the same. My consciousness, my awareness was open, and I could never go back to doing the same things and be able to be satisfied. And I knew that satisfaction only came by me submitting to God. And so from
Mm.
that point on, the story goes that I just continued to fight. I continued to fight,
Mm.
but I knew what I had to do, and God was in His mercy continued to cover me and watch over me, even making mistakes and just stumbling forward until I began to really apply the principles of his word to my life, and it began to change everything. And he
Mm.
took me from where I was, and he changed my life, and he gave me a family. He gave me a career that I shouldn't even have.
Oh.
It's God with a sense of humor. I shouldn't even be in the financial industry, but God takes the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and he begins to really cause us to elevate to a point where we never thought possible. And for me to be able to stand here today and talk to you about this story is only a testament of the goodness of God. And he's not a respecter of persons, because what he does
Mhm.
for one, he does for all. And my
Mhm.
mission in life is to be that voice crying out in the wilderness to let people know that there is hope, that
Yeah.
God is able to do exceedingly above all that you could ask or think. And if
Yeah.
we submit ourselves to him, he will change us, and he will create in us this new life that causes not only you to change, but causes your environment to change, causes the surroundings, causes you to become a change maker that can be hope for others. And that's the reason why I have taken the time to write this book, and I struggle with it. I fought for it 6 years. I even went back to see how long it took me to write. I couldn't complete the book because I was still struggling. I was still
Wow.
addicted. I was still fighting through addictions, and I couldn't talk about being the warrior because it was just, I wasn't ready. I wasn't
Mhm.
ready. I was still going through it. And the whole concept behind the book is about being ready in life. We're going to go through challenges. I saw a vision, and this vision was about a warrior. He was sharpening his sword by a moonlit fire at a beautiful night. And I didn't realize what he was doing, and the vision just really captivated me, but I wasn't sure what it meant. And I realized after some pondering that it was peaceful. And I wondered, what is this warrior doing sharpening his sword during peacetime? And I recognized what it
Mm.
was. It was that he was preparing for war. He was
Wow.
preparing for war. And I had to ask myself that same question, knowing that in life I was going to deal with challenges, with 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 um, with death, with disease, with detention, with things that we're dealing with. We're going to deal with spiritual challenges, physical challenges. We're going to be dealing in life with relationship challenges, mental challenges. We're all going to deal with it. All of us are subject as humans to all these challenges. So why not take the example of the warrior and sharpen our sword and be watchful at the gate, always preparing? How much wonderful, how much greater would life be if we would be able to be ready for anything that comes our way? It's about basically being in position to rob fear of its power. Most of us live a life of desperate, of just a quiet desperation. We're hoping that things don't happen to us. We're hoping that we don't have to deal with the stuff that we all normally will deal with. And so if we begin to take the position, as the Bible says, it always talks about, consider the ant. Watch how it collects in the springtime, and it prepares. And it's basically telling us to look at life. It has lessons to teach us. And lessons, although they're available to all of us, are only learned by those who, by careful analysis, learn it and apply its lessons. And so that is the whole message behind the warrior's way. It's about, there's a warrior inside each and every one of us. Because guess what? We're all enlisted in a war. We're
Mhm.
all we're all in a war. So why not be a warrior? It is better to be, as Bruce Lee said, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a
In a
war.
war.
And guess what? We're going to deal with challenges. We're going to have situations that are going to come and face us. So, how much better and how much sweeter would life be if we're ready for it? When the
Yeah.
enemy comes, we're like, I've been waiting for you to come. I've been preparing, and I know exactly what my words are going to, what I'm going to say. I know
Mhm.
exactly what I'm gonna do. And when we
Mhm.
begin to do that, then it allows us to be present. And then it also causes us to be able to sometimes avoid those things that we fear,
Yeah.
because of the way that we study. When we study people's lives, when we study, hey, why is it that my family lineage, it deals with diabetes? Why is
Hmm.
it that there's heart disease within my lineage? Well, if you study what they eat, if you study how they live, if you study what they do and do not do, you may be able to make decisions that are going to change the trajectory of your family lineage by doing and making different decisions. You don't have to be subjected to the things that people are talking about. It's genetic, it's just in my blood. It is a lie. Don't
Mm.
accept that word.
Hmm.
Accept the word only that which is going to be what you desire it to be. And so we have to be ready for it. So, like a warrior, we must sharpen our sword. We must be always watching. And so, guess what? You might be able to avoid that situation, but then there's going to be others that are going to need your strength, where you may be a warrior that's going to be able to help somebody else. Your family is going to need you. Your brothers are going to need you. There's going to be others out there that are going to need you. And if you're confident in knowing that you're ready for any situation, you'll be able to be cognizant enough and present enough to be able to help somebody else along the way.
Absolutely. Dude, I love what you're saying, man. I'm taking some notes here. All right. You talk about what the warrior does when he's not in war, right? It's preparation, right? It's sharpening your sword, right? I don't want this to be about me because it's really about you. But I feel like you've summed up my career, because what I've done is I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars out of my own pocket to sharpen my sword, to get information, to get knowledge, to share with the public that's
Hmm.
not readily available to the public.
Right.
So when I meet the public, I'm prepared.
Yes.
I'm ready to go to war, right?
Right.
So I just love it. I love everything you're saying. What I'm hearing from you is you have an awesome perspective on life, right? You have a awesome perspective, and what I'm hearing from you is life didn't happen to you. It's almost like life happened for you, right?
Yes.
Had you not gone through what you've gone through, right, it wouldn't make you the man that you are today. But what we do is we try to fight the adversity, and it's almost like you're saying, bring it on. Bring it on. Like, let's go.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
warrior, let's fight, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I don't want to interrupt too much, but go
No,
ahead.
no,
I want you to
no.
continue. So I want everybody, if you're not watching this, you're listening to this, you're not going to be able to see Andreas's shirt. So if you could give a little, see that RS, you see the circle on there, you see that little line that goes through it. I want you guys to understand what RS means. It's called the Rent Slayer. All right. This guy is this guy brings a samurai sword to his closings when he enables his clients to, purchase their dream home. He slays, he's the rent slayer. So he's got awesome branding. That's what the RS stands for. And, if there's anybody in the Delaware Valley, New Jersey, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, this is your guy. If you're listening to this, this is the guy that you need to contact. If you're looking to buy a rental property, if you're looking to upgrade your home, if you're looking to just purchase, he's the man. He is the man. All right. So I'm giving you a little plug for your business, man, because I know you do an amazing job. And I also want to mention The Warrior's Way, the book that's coming out. Um, it's now February of 2023, so I'm not sure when you're listening to this, but if you're watching, you can see a picture of the cover of the book. It's called Warrior's Way, with the crazy samurai sword on the cover. So March 18th, 2023 in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we're going to have the book launch. So if you're in the area, come through, check them out, talk to them face to face. I will definitely be there. All right. So yeah. So Andres, one other thing I wanna share with the public about just who you are. Um, I've been recently challenged, so to speak, or I don't know if I should say challenged. Uh, I've recently
Call
been
to the
informed.
carpet.
Yeah, yeah, on a few things because I just lost some weight. I lost 50 pounds, so I'm in the gym. I'm
Yeah.
working out. I'm doing some things, and I want you to talk about the cold plunge, man. The cold plunge. I need you to just explain that to the world, man.
Yeah, yeah. So funny, man. I tell you. I tell you, you see, so the cold plunge is just basically um, I've done a little bit of research, and again, it is when you line yourself up with people that are where you want to be, you begin to study what they do and why they do it, and some of the things. What happens is, like we talk about, we're going to deal with external stresses in life, right? All
Yep.
different types of external stresses, and environmental stresses, and things that maybe things that we eat that can ultimately cause us to become ill. And so what technically, or what I would say theoretically, the cold plunge does, it creates a controlled stress. So by putting your body into freezing water, uh, it basically causes your immunity to kick into gear. It puts you in a position where now your body is going into action, and it's preparing you to basically to strengthen your immune system, right? Because why? Because of these, as we put ourselves through these different stresses, then our bodies just become stronger. Their response time becomes better. And so, putting myself into that position, I remember that day that I decided to do the cold plunge. And
How cold
first,
was it? Can you tell them the
it was
degree?
actually it was it was the day. So the day before, I decided that I was going to do it that Saturday, and it just happened to be the coldest weekend this year, and it was like 10 degrees, 11 degrees. And then I asked Siri the night before I was going to bed, hey Siri, what's the temperature at 6 a.m. in the morning? And it said it's 11 degrees, and I'm like, oh great. I said it was perfect. So I had already a tub that I bought over at a Tractor and Supply, and it had water in it. And so I tell you, I couldn't sleep that night. My everything in me was saying, you're gonna go into cardiac arrest. You're gonna go into you're gonna go to hypothermia, and literally I couldn't sleep. I was supposed to get up around 6 to hit the track, and I asked Siri, hey Siri, what time? It was only like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was still struggling. It was a big battle for me, and
Hmm.
so that morning I went to do a little track run just to kind of get my body moving before we hit the cold plunge, and. And so I did a little snippet of recording and saying, it's 16 degrees out, and it was all dark out there. And I said, I'm getting ready to hit the track, but I'm gonna go, and everything in me is telling me not to do it, but I'm gonna do it, and you're gonna be a witness of it. And so, even at that point, I was still wrestling with it. And so after the track run, I went. My friend and I were gonna do it together, so he came with me, and I went over, and the ice was this thick. It was it was it
Oh my
was
God.
it was this thick outside, and so I went and I had this little hammer and I started banging on it, and it looked like it was to no avail. So I was like, oh man, it looks like we're
Can't do
not gonna be able
it.
to do this. So then my friend comes with this mallet and he just starts banging it, bam, 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 and I'm like, and he just his energy, he cracked it, and this big chunks of ice is just floating on there, and he just got me excited, and I just went in, and I sat in there, and the goal was to go in for 2 minutes.
Hmm.
What a shock! And went in there, and it was just everything was just it was like pins and needles. It was an incredible experience
Hmm.
where I could hardly breathe, so I had to get my
Calm.
composure for my
Yeah.
breath. And finally, I got my breath and I submerged myself, and and my goal was to get there 2 minutes. That was it, just the 2 minutes. And then they were counting down, and as they were counting down, once it got to 2 minutes, I looked over and I smiled. I stood another 12 seconds because I beat it. And I
Oh
beat
man.
that mental monster
Yeah.
that was prevailing at that point.
Mm.
And when I got out, it was just it was like I can take over the world. It was an
Wow.
incredible experience because I overcame a fear
Mm.
that was pressing upon me. So even though it has its physical its physical values, it had so much more significant value mentally. And let me tell
Absolutely.
you that day was an incredible day. It
Mm.
was I was full of energy, and it just really it was like it was a game changer. I looked at my boy and I said, "Did we just become best friends?" And it was just that kind of thing that really was incredible. So it's not for the weak at heart, but it is certainly something that is amazing, and I'm making it something that I do
On a regular.
often and on a regular basis, just to continually put myself under these controlled stresses so that I'm equipped again for the
Yeah.
battle that comes, right?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah. Sharp.
situation that comes, so that we can face anything that comes our way. So
Man.
yeah, it was awesome. I can't wait till you do it, brother. And listen, if you ready
Ah.
to do it, we could do it together. I'll go with you, man. We go in, and I'll
Okay.
break that ice for you, man, if you need me to.
All right.
So
Can we
let's
wait till
get
like
it.
August? Can we do it in August? Listen, man. Uh, your whole entire presence, your whole entire face changed when you started talking about this cold plunge. You just lit up like a light bulb. Like your energy was unbelievable just talking about the cold plunge.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope you guys are watching this as opposed to listening to this. You can view this on WSTVpodcast.com. But you are a true warrior, and I am so happy that I am working with you financially. I'm so happy that I even know who you are. I feel privileged to have you on my podcast. Absolutely, no doubt. Uh, I believe that you are somebody that is a motivator and an inspirator, right? You are inspiring people to overcome insurmountable odds, and not just talking about it, right? There's a lot of people that are, that are talking about it, but man, you're doing it, bro. You are absolutely doing it. I want to kind of land this plane a little bit, and I want you to share with me and the public here what's next for Andres, man. What's on the horizon for you? What do you see for your future?
Wow, that's a big question, man. I really am. There's so much. Now when you come to realize that your life um, is is a basically a canvas. It's a clean canvas. It doesn't matter what
Hmm.
happened in the past. You
Yeah.
hold the power in the pen to make whatever difference you can make. And I tell you, for me, um, my goal is to really create a movement with the Warriors Way, to really shine a light in the life of others, to let them know that there's greatness inside each and
Inside.
every person, and that you have to quiet the noise
Man.
that is constantly bombarding you with who you're not. And my goal is to really just position myself to be an example, because it's not about more is caught than taught. I could teach
Yes.
you all things, but I cannot. You won't learn until you see it, and you see it modeled. So my goal is to really push the envelope and get myself in a position where I can I can be an example of what greatness is in you, not in me. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm not looking for, how many
Hmm.
books I sell. I don't care about any of that. That's irrelevant. God is it, he's the one that provides and gives me everything that I need. So I don't care about any of that. What's important is that there's a message, and that message is for each and every one that's out there, that there's greatness inside, and there's somebody that loves them so much that they're just wanting to reach out. And the only way that he reaches out is the tangible. It has to be a tangible, someone that can touch that same person. The reason why I share and I'm very transparent about where I came from is because it just sheds a light on what God can do when you submit to his will, and how he can change you. He's like, you don't smell like, nobody knows. They look at me and they think that I've always, been, fit, and that I've always been,
the rent slayer.
The rent slayer. None of that. So what is in store, man? God only knows. But I'll tell you this much: I'm standing in position, and whatever opportunity opens my way, I'm going after it. And I'm connected with greatness like yourself that really have allowed me to share this message. Is just a blessing. And I'm really excited because I know that lives are going to change. And really, that's really what it's all about. Troy, this is what you focus on. You're looking to change lives, man. And I am honored to be a part of that. And I'm grateful that you shared with me things that I needed to know, because it wasn't readily available. Although we do have access to it, but again, there's so much noise, there's so much going on that we don't even really know what's what. So when we see a tangible example of what that looks like, then it really allows us and gives us an opportunity to go after it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Andres, you are maxing out your life, brother. You're maxing it out. You're maxing out your marriage. You're maxing out your children. You're maxing out your business. You're maxing out your relationship with God, right? You're maxing out your fitness. You're maxing out. Listen, man. You're a testimony, man. And I want you to just remember to, stay on track, man. Stay on track, because people need to hear the story. People need to know what you just said, that they can paint the canvas. Like, you've got permission. You can paint the canvas to make it whatever you want to be, right?
Yes.
And the noise is loud. The noise is really loud. And the distractions, I just think about like social media. I want to put a challenge out to the world, because you got me thinking, man. You got me excited. My challenge to people is this: when you wake up in the morning, don't touch your phone for 1 hour. Spend time with yourself, right? Spend time in meditation. Spend time in prayer. Spend time in thanksgiving, right? Thanking God for all the things that you have. Don't wake up in the morning worrying about your bills, worrying about the kids, and worrying about the job, right? Because now you're reactive, right? Let's be proactive before we start reacting to the phone, right? That's a challenge. So my challenge is to get in the cold plunge pool. Your challenge is to not touch your phone for an hour.
I'll take the phone one.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So listen, we're gonna close down, but you might be asking yourself, why is Troy interviewing Andres Viloria on a financial podcast, right? You might be thinking, isn't that kind of strange? Well, this is what I consider my season 2 of Wealth Strategies to Value podcast. Season 1 was me talking about finances, talking about money, talking about, efficiencies and things of that nature. But I really felt deep in my heart that season 2, I needed to put people that I interact with, people that I do business with, who are absolutely amazing people. I want to share you with the world. So that's my message for today. So I appreciate you guys listening and watching. And I want you to share this podcast with people you know, people you love, and people you trust. Because the more views that we get, the more people can hear this message. I want this to be heard in Korea. I want this to be heard in Russia, right? And we have this platform, to get this word out and get this message out. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Until our next podcast, Wealth Strategies to Value. Bye-bye.